If you've ever been through that agonizing 2-week wait, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Every single little twinge, every flutter, it can feel like a huge sign. It's this crazy mix of hope and anxiety, and today we're going to decode one of the most common and, let's be honest, most confusing feelings of them all. You know the one. It's that subtle, deep-down sensation. Is it a pull? A little prickle? Maybe a flutter? So, is it just your period getting ready to show up? Or could it be the very, very first whisper of a new life? That is the big question, and we're going to get to the bottom of it by looking at the actual science. Okay, so to really figure out what's going on, we can't just focus on the feeling itself. Nope, we have to look at the clock, because in this whole story, when a symptom happens is probably the most important clue you have, and it all points to one very specific day in your cycle. 21. Go ahead and burn this number into your brain. For a typical 28-day cycle, day 21 is pretty much the earliest you might feel the very first physical clues of a pregnancy. We're talking a full week after conception might have happened. So what on earth is going on around day 21?
Well, this timeline lays out the whole journey for us. Your cycle kicks off on day 1. Then, around day 14, you have ovulation. Now, if fertilization happens, the embryo spends the next week or so making this incredible trip down the fallopian tube. And then finally, around day 21, we get to the main event, implantation. This is the big moment the embryo actually attaches to the uterine wall, and this is when your body starts sending out its first little signals.
So that first little twinge has a name. It's called implantation pain. And it's really important to know, this is not a cramp in the way you normally think of one. Not at all. It's a very specific, super mild feeling that happens because the embryo is literally embedding itself into the lining of your uterus. This is clue number 1. And listen to how it's described. We're not talking about intense W over pain. It's almost delicate. It could be a tiny pinprick, a gentle little pull, or even something that feels like a butterfly fluttering around in there. Remembering these descriptions is absolutely key to telling it apart from everything else. So, we've established this sensation is mild and it's located way down low in the abdomen. But you want to know something? The single most reliable way to tell this apart from period pain isn't the feeling itself. It's all about the timing. This is the real giveaway. All right, let's put them head to head. Look at the timing difference. Early pregnancy pain can pop up a full week before your period is even due. PMS cramps, they usually only crash the party 2 or 3 days beforehand. And then there's the feeling. You're swapping out that intense PMS cramping for that mild pulling or pricking sensation we were just talking about. See the difference? Of course, the abdominal stuff is one thing, but it's usually not the only symptom in town, right? Breast tenderness is another classic point of confusion. So many of us get it before our period. So how in the world can you tell the difference here? Well, it turns out the secret is all in the details. With PMS, it's typically just a general soreness, kind of all over. But with early pregnancy, the changes are way more specific. Your breasts might feel heavy, but also really soft. But here's the real tell. What happens to the nipple? It can get super tender, it might darken, and the areola around it can get wider. Those are not your typical PMS signs. So what about everything else? Well, back pain can be an early pregnancy thing, for sure. But headaches and mood swings, oh, they are notorious impersonators. They are super common in both situations, which makes them completely unreliable clues. So my advice? It's probably best not to read too much into those two. Okay, you've listened to your body. You've played detective with the timing, the location, and all the weird little sensations. You've gathered all the clues you possibly can. But at the end of the day, symptoms are just hints. So how do you go from having a strong suspicion to getting a definite, no doubt about it answer? Thankfully, the path to a real answer is super clear. Step 1, and I know this is the absolute hardest part, wait. Wait until your period is officially late. Then, and only then, you take a home pregnancy test. If you see those 2 little pink lines, well, that's it. That's your confirmation. It's truly the only way to know for sure. So you see, that waiting period, it doesn't have to be just a time filled with nail-biting anxiety. It can actually be a time of listening, of really understanding the subtle language of your own body. Now that you've got a better idea of how to interpret its earliest whispers, the real question isn't just what your body is telling you. It's what's the next step in your story going to be?